Fireside Chat is a new initiative of Region 10, India and Sri Lanka of IEEE Microwave Theory and Technology Society. It is very important for youngsters, young professionals, and young researchers to know the career trajectory, academic journey, and mission of our society. Fireside Chat series is launched to create a new and unique digital platform towards this. We are very happy and delighted to have our current president, Professor Nuno Borges Carvalho, as the inaugural speaker of this series. The episode 1 of Fireside Chat with Professor Nuno as our speaker will be moderated by the volunteers of MTTS Region-10 Digital Team Affairs, Srinjoy, Katu, Apala, and Satta.
Once again, thank you, sir, to have you here with us. And our first question would be, can you share a bit about your upbringing, early education, and career trajectory that led you to pursue a career in engineering and eventually becoming the president of the IEEE Microwave Theory and Technology Society?
Well, thank you very much for the question, and thank you very much for inviting me to be here today. It's really a pleasure to be with all of you here. I met some of you already in some conferences, and I hope to meet you again in MapCon soon. So, it's a curious question. I will go back several years ago, 40 years ago probably, when actually in my country there was only two TV channels broadcast to all population. And I really love to see TV, you know. So what bring me to this field was that in the 80s, so in the century, last century, right, in the 80s, in my country, there was a boom in satellite TV reception. So a lot of people start to use these very small dishes to see more TV channels. And since I love TV channel, when I was a kid, and when I saw that they were building a satellite TV receptor antenna, I got completely in love for satellite communications. So to understand that you can actually, with a very simple solution as an antenna, receive signals from all over the world, that fascinated me. So that was the start of my plan. And as soon as I got a chance to select a higher degree, so come to the university, I select telecommunications and electronic engineering because I want to learn antennas. That was something that was in my background. Well, during my undergraduate studies, I did it in the University of Aveiro in Portugal. And during those undergraduate studies, I met one person in my department, which was Professor José Carlos Pedro, that was later on the editor of the Transactions of Microwave Theory and Techniques, that actually started to talk to me about RF electronics. So I understood that not only antennas were important, but what is behind the antenna is much, much important, and probably sometimes even more important than the antenna itself, which is the microwave electronics. So what you have behind the receiver, the transceiver, how you receive the signal, how you format the signal, how do you have filters, and that was really what made me move completely to the antenna RF electronics approach. So after that, again with Professor Jose Carlos Pedro, I decided to engage in a PhD program, and my PhD program was to study nonlinear effects of transmitters, of mobile communication transmitters. And so during my PhD, I took and I discussed the issues on power amplifiers and the problems of transmitters in these power amplifiers. So this took me to the end of my PhD in 2000. And starting from there, I became a professor at University of Aveiro on these topics because I really like to research these activities. And when I had time in Portugal, each 6 years, a professor can do what is called a sabbatical year. This means that we are able to move out of our university and to work on other universities, other research labs, and actually expand our horizons, right? So what I did, I went to the United States and I work at North Carolina State University with Professor Michael Steer, and later on I work also in NIST with Dr. Kate Ramley and Dr. Dylan Williams, and on both of these travel to the United States, I learned that software-defined radio was something that was appearing and could be very interesting for us to actually study and build transmitters and receivers with the software-defined radio. So that was my second step on bringing other layers to my RF electronics approach. And so that was also very, very interesting. And when I came back from the United States, back to my university, I start to work with some European colleagues on topics as backscattering, wireless power transmission. And when I heard about wireless power transmission and I heard about Tesla, I said, well, this is what I want to do. This is really the next step. We already do RF communications. Now we can transmit energy using RF signals. So this is amazing. How can we do all together? And this is my, very short, of course, this is my um, let's say, steps into this area, coming from being a kid fascinated with how signals get into an antenna and appear on a TV. That was my first trigger to this, and then it's a collection of crossing myself with very important and interesting people around the world that actually were passionate about what they were doing. And this actually allow me to be passionate also about what I'm doing. And each time I see a different field, I try to understand what's there. And in the meantime, I joined, even when I was a PhD student, I joined the Microwave Theory and Techniques Society at that time. And I attend my first International Microwave Symposium in 1998. I can tell you one thing that I think probably most of the people are not aware. My first paper as a PhD student was sent to the International Microwave Symposium in 1997, and figured out what happened. It was rejected. So I was very unhappy. But I said, well, I have to do it better, right? So the next year I sent it again with better results, and it was accepted. So I attended my first International Microwave Symposium. I believe it was in Baltimore, something like that. And I was surprised with the exhibition that International Microwave Symposium had. It was a huge exhibition, a very, very large group of people. Uh, Everything you want to know about RF electronics was there. So I was amazed with that show. And since then, I said I have to come here every year, and I did it. So I think I only missed once before COVID, and then of course in COVID we were in our houses, so we could not leave the houses. So then I think you want to know how I became president. So then in 2002, probably 2001, when I finished my PhD, I joined one of the technical committees in IMS, well, in MTT. But the technical committees are groups of persons that join around a specific topic, technical topic. And Dylan Williams and invite me. He was at that time already in ADCOM and said, "Well, Nuno, why don't you go to a technical committee?" So I was a little bit shy. I appeared there saying how I'm going to be here, and they invite me to sit. So I sit in a technical committee. I start to listen what they do. The technical committees discuss technical activities, discuss workshops, discuss special sessions, discuss a lot of other interesting topics. And I like to participate and I like to contribute. So I start to propose also my ideas. I bring my ideas. I learn, and this is important, I think, for the world. I learn that when you have an idea, you have to say it, even if it's in your mind is completely stupid, but you have to say it. You don't lose nothing, right? You are there. If you don't talk, nobody will see you. So you have to put your ideas on the table. It can be stupid that nobody cares, or it can be a good idea, and then you can do something. So this was actually my first activity. At that time, it was called the TC11 or MTT11. Now it's TC3. It's a technical committee on measurements, and it was there that I start to become part of the let's say volunteering capability of MTT. From there, I can tell you that Kevu, Dylan Williams, Tom Brazil unfortunately passed away. He was our president. They, at a certain point, asked me if I would like to manage the Electronic and Information Committee. That was a very recent committee being created in ATCOM. So I joined ATCOM. ATCOM is the administrative committee of our society. So I joined by managing the electronic information. And why that happened? Well, because during the TC11, so the Measurement Technical Committee, we actually built a web page for the technical committee, and the web page was very well received. So there were a lot of information there. People liked it. It was a very nice design, and they invite me to manage the overall web page of MTT. That was my first committee, and after I think 1 or 2 years of being volunteering on this specific job for the website, there was elections, and I proposed myself to become part of ADCOM. Then I became ADCOM member. I was the Electronic and Information Committee chair. Then I was the member and geographic activities chair. And when I was start to actually work on the member geographic activities, 2 months later, COVID came, and we were at home. Okay, that was not fun, but during that period, we decided with a lot of other colleagues in ADCOM to maintain the chapter shares meeting and to maintain somehow a visibility of MTT. And we did a lot of activities, especially for chapter shares. And I think that was very well received. We received a lot of people during those meetings. And then there was a possibility to have a president election, and I said, why not? Let's try and see what I can contribute to the society. And I think when I was elected, there were, in MTT we also have at least two candidates. We cannot have one. We have at least two. We hope to have more. But at that time, there were two. I think if you select, they select me, but if they select the other, it will be a very good person also for becoming president. I think our outcome is all our outcome members are very good. So I don't have a problem to say that any one of them can be president and they will do a good job. And why? Because I think we are passionate about microwave electronics and we want to increase the awareness and the activities on the microwave electronics. So, and I became president because of this, and because I was very curious how a dish that sounds like um, the dish that is the parabolic dish sounds like the dish you use in your kitchen, right? But it's on the top of the of the building and receives so much TV channels. So that was the thing that actually motivates me to all of these activities. I hope I answered your question.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. Kathuri, please go on.
Yes, sir. So, good evening, sir. Myself, Karthus Sudevan. I am a research scholar and I'm working under Dr. Chinmay Saha from IIST Trivandrum. Sir, we are very happy to hear your upbringing, your passion for entities and all. So, as you have involved in many in this IEEE MTT Society, both as a technical contributor and a topmost leader for all these past several years. So, can you please share some of your important moments or your experience of becoming an IEEE fellow, that IEEE DML or that leadership roles and all? We would be happy to hear all these things.
Okay, thank you for this question. This is if I can share with you, let me say this. So, as I said before, I really like to understand how radio frequency circuits work. This is my passion, and this is what I like to do. Any other things comes extra, you know. So becoming an IEEE fellow was very nice, of course. It was an opportunity, and especially then an opportunity. I think become fellow means that your colleagues recognize you as a leader in that specific topic, and I think that is the most important thing. So not the following itself, because is a name, right? But the recognition of your colleagues in of the society. I think that is from for me was the greatest achievement I could have in my technical activities. Becoming a DML, I think is a different thing. So becoming a DML, I became a DML because I at that time I start to give some talks about what I do in my research. And what I think this is important to say that when I give talks about my research activities, I'm not talking about myself, I talk about my group. I have around 10 PhD students in average. And when I give a distinguished microwave lecturer, or when I give now a technical talk in a conference, I'm actually the spokesman of this group because I'm no longer a lot of time in the lab, unfortunately. These are the students that actually build and are able to create these activities and these results. What I'm at this moment, I think a supervisor is more a mentor. Of course, we can sit with students and to explain certain situations where they cannot move on, but we are mainly a mentor and a strategists, right? So you say, okay, you need to go in this direction, or you need to go in that direction. And when you go around the world and you give these talks, you see the passion in some of the colleagues in the audience. So some of them are there because they are really interested in learning more. And when we have the chance to actually teach what we are doing and show that that can have an impact in society, I think this is the very good acknowledgement also when you do that. So what I, as I said, what I really like of these, well, again, looking to your question, um, I will repeat myself, but being an IEEE fellow is not by the fellow concept itself, is by the recognition of your colleagues. I think this is the most important thing. Being a distinguished microwave lecturer or a distinguished lecturer is to give back to the society what you are studying, what you are learning, and share that with the other guys in the room. And I think this is the most important thing, because sometimes you have someone that comes to you and say, okay, I also think about it, or I don't agree with you. I think we have to go in that way. Then doing this brainstorm with people that have different backgrounds, different ideas, I think it's very good. If not, we will do everything and always the same thing, right? So having this relationship with people around the world that also thought about what you're saying, but have other ideas about how to resolve. And I give you the what I'm trying to do at this moment, and this started more or less 10 years ago when I discovered this new field of wireless power transmission or technology, is when our um, engineers, when we build microwave electronic circuits, when we build integrated circuit for a mobile phone, most of the time we don't think how much power that device is consuming. Not only the mobile phone, because I think some of the engineers for the mobile phones are thinking on how much power it consumes because the battery run away very fast. But for instance, if you look to an access point in your house, the Wi-Fi access point, the guy that designed the Wi-Fi access point probably did not think about the energy it consumes. And why is this important? Because at this moment, I believe each person in the world has in average one phone, has in average one um, interface, one access point in their house when you have a house. And if you think that the efficiency of these devices are low, we are consuming a lot of energy for doing nothing. So this is actually what I think in the next months we can give, or years we can give to society. Try to bring all our knowledge to optimize the way we design circuits. And people normally don't think about it. They think, okay, I want a 1 gigabit per second because I want to play a game with my colleague. But how much power that 1 gigabit per second is consuming? And we need to go into that direction. And so my talks in the distinguished lecture are into this direction. How can we optimize our circuits to in the limit don't use a battery and consume and be harvesting energy all over the place. So this is actually what is focusing on my these lectures that I have. Well, the leadership roles, as I said, I never search for leadership roles. I don't really mind if I have a leadership role or not. I think each one of us should be giving our volunteer work if we like what we are doing. If we don't like what we are doing, and if you can stop, stop it, right? So, but if you like what you are doing, as I said, I never seek for any leadership role. If I'm in leadership role, I try to be as best as I can. Sometimes other colleagues think I'm doing good job, other times they think I'm not doing a good job. But try to do your best and you're going to be successful.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So next, I would like to hand over this to Satyam for the next question.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, my question would be, can you please talk about the various schemes and initiatives of the IEEE MTTS Society, both on the technical and the volunteering fronts, so that the students not only from undergraduate masters as well as PhD, like they can derive some benefits, they can provide something, and they can do good to this society, for this society.
Well, yes. So as you said, there are various various levels of collaboration that you can have. You can be an undergraduate, a master, or a PhD student. You can even be a high school student, right? So we will be launching soon a STEM program within MTT, also to motivate high school students to our field. So how can you engage in the society? Well, there are several methods you can engage or moments you can engage with society. The simplest one is, of course, following our solutions that we already have in place. I believe the first thing you can do if you want to become a volunteer and if you want to contribute to society is to create a student chapter uh, um, in your local location. It can be a university, or it can be if you don't have enough colleagues in your university, join two or three universities around and create a student chapter. So this, I think, is the first step. Why I think this is the first step? Because then you have a direct connection to our MGA coordinator. And by having this direct connection to our MGA coordinator, we can start to mentoring you. We can start to send distinguished lectures to your place, and we can also sponsor some of your activities. What activities this can be? Well, it can be a pizza party, like Dr. Gotham normally says. So having a pizza party, that's the best way. And probably not a pizza. Probably if you like other, well, I love curry. Let's have a curry party. Okay, yeah, I think it will be much better to have a curry party because I like it. But so what I'm saying is that you can have your party, and in your party, I think it's important that you show what it's microwaves. Microwaves, and some students normally think, well, microwaves is electromagnetism. Electromagnetic studies are hard. I don't think it's hard, but okay. They can say, well, this is a lot of maths, a lot of physics. I say, no, there are a lot of things you can do before you go to the maths. I think at a certain point you have to go to the maths, but before you go there, you can learn a lot. There are a lot of things that we can do, we can build. And I will say especially for undergraduate and master students, these simple applications, simple circuits we can do, simple antennas. I give an example. In my class of antennas in the university, we normally all students build a antenna. You know what is a antenna? You use a can. It's a chocolate can in Portugal. It's the right dimensions to design a 20 dBi antenna for Wi-Fi reception. So students are doing it, and it's very simple. They can do it at home, and then we go to the anechoic chamber and we show that it works. Okay, so try. I think the best thing is try to, as I said before, try to understand what is microwaves, what microwaves does, how can I use microwaves. Then, when you are a master student and probably PhD, you'll go through the maths, you'll go through the simulations, and you'll do much better. But first is try to understand what it gives. And when you are asking what IEEE can give or MTTS can give at this point, I think is mentoring in the sense that we are able to create a brand, which is MTTS, and students can recognize themselves around that brand because the rest is on your side. So we can even send you money for the pizza party, let's say, or for arranging a workshop. But what is more important is that you are around and you are all interested in a common topic. This is the first point. Then on MTT there, as I said, there are undergraduate grants, there are graduate grants, there are PhD grants. You can apply to all these grants. But to be honest, before we get there, I think it's important to have this spirit of community in your location. One thing that we will start this year, focus, I will say is also for all chapters, but when we had this idea was for student chapters. What we are going to start to give away is a nano VNA. A nano VNA, by the way, is a small vector network analyzer. Actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Well, probably not because I'm using a green, but I have a nano VNA at my hand in front of me. What is a nano VNA? Is a device, so a vector network analyzer is a key instrument for microwave engineers. And we found that around the world, some of the labs are interested in building antennas and things like that, but they cannot measure because they don't have equipment. So we decided to buy one of these and give to all our student chapters. This is one thing that will allow small teams to create some antennas, some filters, and to see it works. Okay? The other thing I think we need is really to have ideas from you. So we start a campaign of stickers, t-shirts, and so on. We want to create a brand, and we want to guarantee that everybody in my country say we dress the t-shirt of the society, right? So you dress it. So we need to have that to actually create this brand. Then uh, sometimes you think, okay, I create this brand, I need to have a distinguished lecture, and MTT is supplying that distinguished lecture. But more important than that, if you create your student chapter, there will be another student chapter in another university in your country or the neighbor country. There will be a chapter of MTT in your country, your neighbor chapter. So you can start to use this network to actually invite colleagues from other universities. And they can come and say what they are doing in a different place. They can share the ideas with you. And I think this is the most important thing we can give to the society is creating the networks among all of us. After creating the networks, if you have a bright idea, if you want to share something with us, please send an email to me, send an email to the Memory Geographic Activity, so the MGA share. If you do a small activity in your university or in your location, write a one-page summary with a lot of photos, and we'll publish that in the Microwave magazine. We'll publish that on the newsletter. Then you start to increase the awareness of microwaves and, as I said, especially the networking. I think we learned in COVID that the contacts between persons are very important and the network is very important. So we the question is how MTTS, what are the schemes and initiatives? We have money for grants, we have money for activities. We are creating this nano VNA. We create a Smith chart for educational purposes recently. We can create all these, but most important is the student chapter. So the most important is the local communities, and if you want to call it the clubs, the microwave club, where you bring everybody around a specific topic, and I'll be angry to receive your ideas because sometimes we are some in AdCom. Um, we have different perspectives and we have different. Each one of us have different visions of what the world can be, and it's the younger generation that needs to tell us what they want, because sometimes we are doing things that they don't want, and this starts to become fuzzy. So it will be very nice if you have ideas and you say, okay, in order to bring the community together, well, I have this simple experiment that you can do. Can I share that with you? Of course. Create a video, send a video to YouTube. There are plenty of things that we can do in order to create a networking among us. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir, definitely. Uh, Thank you so much. Next, I would like to hand over the stage to Katudi. Thank you.
Hello, sir. So, sir, again, so I would like to next ask about the when we are considering about the leadership aspects. So we often see that community involvement and giving back to the society are considered some of the important aspects of leadership. So can you please say something about such an initiative of IEEE MTT Society or in an IEEE level itself? Can you please share some moments with us?
Yeah, well, following what I was already saying, so not only the local communities are very important. The student chapters, again, I'm focusing student chapters because we are talking among mainly students, but also the professional chapters, bringing together professionals from industry, from academia, from government to join together and discuss topics of interest, not only on education level, which is very important for bringing new members to our activities, but also we can have an impact at a higher level. And when I say higher level, I think we can have an impact on governments in each one of our countries. And what type of impact we can have? Well, as I was telling you a moment ago, I think, and these are studies that are available, that when we design microwave circuits or let's say wireless circuits, we are not optimizing for energy. We are not optimizing for bandwidth, probably. So having talk with the government and try to explain these activities that wireless circuits and circuits are becoming fundamental for the world to operate. And you saw during COVID that some of the distribution of these microwave components stopped. And that created a huge confusion in the world. Cars do not have any more ships to be built, and there were a lot of changes in the world because we stopped the distribution of these semiconductors. So electronics, especially, and now going to the IEEE level, the electronic component in our daily life activity became fundamental. I will not say that will substitute water and the air, but it's become each time more and more and more important. And after we start to have the internet, after we start to have the resources, let's say the computer resources we have today, we can do much more. So this is where I think local communities can make a difference. And as I said, not only at the education level, so we bring more students to our fields. And now I'm not talking only about microwaves. There are many fields in IEEE, but more or extra than that, we can have an impact in our society. We can have an impact on how we live. We can have an impact on our governments. There are a lot of things that electronic engineering can bring to our daily life that are fundamental for actually create a comfort area in places that normally could not exist before. I'll give you a simple example. If we use satellite communications, we can bring data connections to places that do not have traditional telecommunication infrastructures. If we do that in a small village, we can do, for instance, telepresence in for health. That means you can actually have a doctor there remotely, talking with the people, local community there. So this is something that we were not able to do in the past. So we can make a change for that small community. Sometimes you can very simple explain them what is the disease they are feeling or something like that. If you look from a different other perspective, if you bring solar panels, you can bring energy to those villages. So with energy, electrical energy in those villages, you can create another group of activities or another type of activities that you don't have before. And I can continue here all afternoon telling about how electronics can actually make the change in our local communities. And this is not only like that, but you can see how electric cars are making a change in the environment. You can see how the smart city concepts are making a change in our cities. So there are so much things that actually we can create and we can bring communities together to improve our society life that I think being jealous, I think this IEEE is the place to be. If you are not an electrical engineer, you have to be an electrical engineer. This is what will change the world in the future, right? We can move, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So next, I would like to have Aparna for the next question.
Thank you, Katha. Good afternoon, sir. Uh, I am I audible?
Yes, yes, perfect.
Yes. So I'm a final year PhD student from IIT Kanpur. I have met you a couple of times in conferences as well as during your talk at our institute. Um, in IMS also, like this year's IMS. So I have served as the chapter chair, the secretary for our student branch during the past years, as well as I am the present committee member of WIM in Region 10. So my first question to you will be bringing equality, promoting diversity, and eradicating discrimination in all level are some of the few milestones that IEEE and various other societies tries to achieve. So can you talk about the vision and mission of IEEE MTTS regarding this or on this topic?
Yeah, thank you very much. This is really an important topic. So equality and actually stop discrimination all over the world. So some people assume IEEE, since IEEE is based in US, it's an US society. It is not. I'm Portuguese. I was born in Africa, so I'm not an American, right? So when you go to IEEE, I see IEEE like a little bit like the United Nations of electrical engineers, right? It's a point of contact of all electrical engineers around the world. And I think this is very important. Give the opportunity to any person that has something to say. So let's start by this type of diversity. That is, bring and receive everybody in the world. I think, from my view on MTT, and as I said, not being an American, I see that all my colleagues are very welcoming. So in AdCom of MTT, we have people from all over the world, from Asia, Europe, South America, US, Canada. We have Australia. So we have people from all over the world. We have people from North Africa. I was thinking North Africa is also represented there. I would love to have people also from South Africa. So what I'm saying is that this is the first step to actually be able to be as broad as possible in terms of diversity. On the second aspect that I want to bring to this, to the promotion of diversity, is that in certain parts of the world, we need to speak in their own language. So in MTT, we start some years ago to have paper being translated for Chinese, for Spanish, and for Portuguese. Spanish and Portuguese was mainly to address South America. Chinese was mainly to address Asian countries that actually speak Chinese. And there is a plan at IEEE level to have artificial intelligence to help us in translating papers to all languages of the world. That will be because when we did it with volunteers. So a person that reads a paper and translates the paper. What we, I think, what is the goal of IEEE and what I'm saying is a little bit science fiction, but I would love to see it in the future, is you go to IEEE Explore, you see a paper and it said, let me download this paper in my own language. And you select language and the paper will come in your own language. I think this will be a very good way to actually bring more colleagues to the field. Then we have other types of diversity, and one of the uh, topics we have been focusing recently is on the gender balance. Most of the time, and MTT is one example of that, most of our members are males, not females. Well, there are, I believe, a lot of reasons in the past, um, cultural reasons, social reasons for this to happen, but we are changing that. So when we, in 2 years, we move from around 7% to, I think the last number I saw is 12% of female members in the overall society. But what I think is very, very interesting to see is that among students, the percentage of female members is 37% of females. So now the question is why we are losing so much females in the process to become professionals. I believe this was mainly due to the fact that when a female in most of societies want to become a mother, the person stops from following up their professional careers. I believe that was the reason. So we have to change it. So some things we are discussing, we don't have nothing at the moment, but there are discussions. How can we accommodate families when we create our conferences? Because sometimes the mother do not go because the baby is at home. So why not allow the mother to take the baby with her and try, or the mother or the father take the baby, and try to get a way that we can actually have someone to take care of the baby while the person, the mother or father, is going to their giving the talk, giving their speech, or going to attend a specific technical meeting. So this is only an example of things that can be done. There are many other things that can be done. I think we this year we start an ad hoc committee on diversity and inclusion. That ad hoc committee, the prime mission is really to understand how can we accommodate different parts of the world that are not in our society, and how can we improve our gender balance, and what can we bring to the society to actually increase in this case, increase the female participation because the percentage is too low. On top of that, there is also another diversity approach that we have been looking carefully, which is there is a tendency that most of these technical societies will be mainly academic driven, so professors, students, and so on. I think we are electrical engineering, IEEE is electrical engineering group. So we need people from industry. We need professionals to come. And if professionals comes, we are going to, all of us are going to gain with this, either from the professional point of view, because they will hear the academics and the academics will hear the problems of the professional teams. So this year again on MTT, we start an ad hoc committee on industrial engagement. How can we bring the industry engineers back to our society, to our conferences? And on top of that, we also thought that we need to bring students. So all students as much as we can. So 2 years ago, we start $1 campaign that, as far as understood, will continue at least in the next years to bring students into the society. So, and you can tell me why $1, not zero? Well, because if you don't pay at least $1, I think you'll not, you'll sign your name and you don't care, you know. At least you know that $1 will be for this, right? But this is the reason for the $1. We could be zero. But I think when you are zero, everybody will sign and nobody cares. So $1, I think, is the minimum we can do. So what I want to say with all this is that there are efforts in NTT to engage more different communities. This year, for instance, I'll give you an example. Myself, Dr. Gautam Chaudhary from NASA, Professor Glauco from Brazil, and Professor Jose Reyes from Mexico, we went to South America. We went to several countries in South America to talk with the communities, microwave communities. Some of them, they don't even know that we exist. So that was a very important thing. And we were able, in less than 6 months, to double the number of members in South America just because we went there. Next year, we have a plan to go to Africa. So we'll do a similar visit to some chapters in Africa, also to engage more members into these activities. And we also have some activities for United States, so that we can bring more students to our team in the United States. So we are going to participate in some of the events for young professionals. And the young professionals is something that we actually care a lot, and I can tell you that we had young professionals ad hoc committee for 3 years, and 1 week ago in the AdCom that we had in Porto, in Portugal, we moved the ad hoc committee of young professionals to become a standing committee. What that means, it means that it starts to be part of our AdCom continuously. So it's no longer an ad hoc that can disappear. It's really part of us. And I'm crossing my fingers that the 30% we saw in female participation in the student level will stay with us, and in 5, 10 years, our society will have a much bigger share of female members than we have at this moment.
Thank you, sir. Actually, my second question was on this gender inequality that is prevailing in MTTS. And I believe that if we are able to engage more number of female candidates and in the like micro level of this MTTS chapters, like in the student branches involving industrial professionals as well, so that might lead to an increased number of female participants. Thank you so much, sir.
I fully agree with you.
Yes, sir. So I would like to hand over the next question. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Apolati. Sir, this will be the final question, but it is a very important question for all of us, especially as I am a youngster. So, what will be your advice to youngsters like us to become the future Nuno Borges Carvalho, a very successful RF engineer and a passionate leader and a legend of the field? So, what is your advice, sir? Because we want to be that.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't. So I, I can only have one answer. Your passion for microwave electronics. That's the only thing, right? So this is the first thing. You have to be passionate about what you do. The rest will come. Okay, if you are passionate for what you do, if you give your best in all occasions, uh, and especially if you give your best without waiting for nothing in return, I think good things will come. And that's my philosophy in this plan. So as we were discussing today, I think this can start by creating your local clubs, creating your local student chapters. As soon as you have activities that you can report that activities to 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 the society. If you can join some of our meetings, join our meetings. Don't be silent. Whatever comes to your mind, say it when it's time. We have conferences and symposiums all over the world. especially in Region 10, we have some activities that are fixed in Region 10. So one is MapCon, that is going to happen December this year in Ahmedabad. The other one is IWS, that is going to happen in China. And well, happened already in May in China. And we have smaller conferences that goes around the world, and I believe it will go to India at a certain point also. So what I'm saying is that there are a lot of um, places and symposiums and conference that you can participate, and if you can do that, go to those events, share your ideas, network as much as you can. If you see someone that you read a paper or you hear a talk and you think, well, this guy is very old, probably will not talk to me. No, that's not true. Go to him, talk to him, especially ask him whatever you think it's good. Uh, 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 Normally, as we say in Portugal, a no is guaranteed. You know, so saying no, you already have it. So anything that comes from that connection will be profitable to you. And I think this is the most important thing. If you do this, if you are passionate by microwave electronics, if you volunteer, if you give your best, I think then is a question to see and where you can make a difference. And sometimes it's also important that you identify a place where I'll give an example. In my case, when ETC 11, I did a web page. Why? Because I know a little bit of HTML at that time. Okay, so it has nothing to do with microwaves, but that was enough for others to say, "Well, this guy did a good job. Let me bring him to manage the web page of MTT." It has nothing to do with microwaves, but I they asked me to do that, and I did it with all my passion, and I did it as the best as I can, and it was good. So what I'm saying is that don't stop um, to give your ideas, because all our ideas are good. Sometimes you give your ideas and it's not in the correct spot, and probably nobody listen to you. But I think all ideas are good to progress, or sometimes you can actually connect with another person and bring a different approach to the table. And this is my advice for you. So be passionate about microwaves and do your best wherever you are, whatever you are doing.
So we are extremely grateful for your time that you have given us for this podcast. And like this is the starting of the Fireside Chat. And as an initiative from the Digital Affairs team of R10, I would like to thank you so much that a president of our own society can sit here and talk to us about our questions. It was really great, sir. We thank you so much, and we hope to see you again in the same podcast and meet you soon in person. Thank you, sir.
Definitely, and especially MapCon in December. I want to see you all.
Sure, sir.
Thank you very much.